Yeah,
Yeah. So, hi, good morning and good evening to every one of you guys. Uh, yeah, Tanmay, you are having any query? Yeah, you can type it in the chat window, Tanmay. ITK. Okay, we'll discuss at the end of the session. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay, Manoj, I have started the recording.
yeah. So let's start our training session for today. Yeah, just give me a moment over here, Iraj.
Yeah, sure, Manoj.
Yeah, yeah. Just give me a moment over here, guys. We are just starting our, training session for today. So today, actually, we will be doing what? We will be actually doing the uh, sourcing template configuration. So remember, guys, template configuration is one of the most important thing which you will ever see or ever do within the SAP Ariba upstream part. So
Hi, Manoj. Manoj, we are unable to hear you. Guys, can you hear me? Hello. Yeah, not an issue, guys. Just a second. Just a second. Just a second, guys. I'm just in coordination with Manoj. We'll be back. Yeah. Hi, Manoj. Can you hear me? Manoj? Yeah. Guys, can you hear Manoj? Hello? No, right? Yeah, yeah. One second, one second. Just a second, guys.
Guys, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, Manoj, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. I think there was some problem with my earphone over here. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation, Raj, and thanks, guys, for the confirmation. Actually, I was talking about that only. Like I was asking for all of your confirmation whether you're able to hear me or not. Okay. So basically, when I'm talking about the templates over here, always remember this thing, guys. That template is, if you compare a human anatomy, compare to that of a Ariba upstream anatomy, just like a heart is to a human anatomy. Similarly, template is the anatomy of Ariba upstream. Why? Because this is where you will do all your configuration, all the stuff. Here only you will do it. That's the first thing. Second thing, second thing, most people think upstream behaves like downstream. No, actually, as I told you earlier, both of them are having separate database, separate data. Along with that, they have separate ways of configuration. The configuration ways are totally different. Okay. Now, when I'm talking about upstream over here, and I am talking about template. So for each of the process flows over here, we are having templates. That's the first thing. So when you will go to a implementation, let us discuss about a little bit uh, things which you are going to see in your implementation project. Then we will be directly showing into the system how to do those things. But before that, before we go to the system, let me discuss a little bit points generally, what kind of requirement and how you're going to begin the configuration. Because if you don't know how to begin the process, then even if you know the advanced thing, it will not help you much. So let us try to understand the basic things first over here. The basic things over here is, first of all, wherever you will go for implementation over here, okay, a couple of things you have to keep in mind. And what are those things? Basically, those things over here are, one, whenever you will go for implementation, the template will depend on your departments. This is a universal truth. Don't think like, guys, if you go in a big project or a small project or a medium project, this will be different. Although I can say for a small project, one template per department, and department will be 3 or 4, not more than that. For a mid project, department will be 5 or 6, 1 to 2 templates for each department. And for a complex project, you might have 8 to 10 departments, and you have to configure 2 or 3 templates each. So on an average, for a small project, you're going to do somewhere around 4 or 5 templates creation and configuration. For a medium project, you're going to do somewhere around 10 template creation and configuration. For a big project, generally, you will be doing somewhere between 20 to 25. Okay, the maximum templates which I have done in a complex project is 30, although that was a little bit, what you can say, exceptional kind of procedure. So I'm not talking about exceptional kind of procedure over here. I'm talking about normal, not normal, actually complex big project. 20 to 21 is more than enough, but sometimes exception might occur and you have to go till 25 or maybe till 30, but not more than that. So always remember, the first thing is like, template will be configured according to department. Now the question is why? Why? Why such is the thing required over here? So always remember, when you will go for any implementation, each department. So what is a department? So let me come to that question first. Then I will be explaining you why it is there. So first of all, department, when I'm talking about, if you take, for example, Accenture, how many departments are there? You will see the first, there are three main departments: outsourcing, consulting, technology. Then you are having the marketing, the procurement, okay, the support, the higher management, the finance, okay, and etc. etc. So these are all examples of your departments. So this is the concept of departments, guys. So remember, every company is going to have departments, and based on the departments only, there will be separate sourcing processes. Sourcing process, now most of the participants generally think like, when I'm saying different sourcing process, so they will think like, totally different. No, it's not totally different. What I'm saying over here is like, the workflow will change, the approver will change, their role will change, okay, some extra task will get added over here, okay. All of these things which are coming over here, remember this thing, guys, these things are what? These things are changes within the process flow. So always remember, if you compare the different departments process flow in sourcing, you will see the same process running, but in between you will see different approver, different custom task appearing, okay, and a difference in some basic bidding rules, okay. So that is how the whole structure of template is designed first. So once you know, okay, I have 5 departments and I need to create 2 templates for each department, that means 10 templates you're going to create, and you have this approver list, okay, who's going to approve, what are the different tasks, and all those things requirement you will be taking up from the client. Once you have those things, what next? Then next you will be going into the system. So first of all, remember this thing, guys, that you go to the system directly, and if you start looking for the navigation path, you will not get it. So which role are required mandatorily over here? So let me just give you a brief about the roles which is required as an administrator, because here you need to log in as an admin user, not super admin, but actually admin user. You need to log in, otherwise it will not work. So first of all, you need to have a template user role and a template editor role. These two are the basic rules which is required for you to create a template and customize a template, okay. So these are the two things which you are going to need to have to start working on the templates, okay. And generally one among you will be given some, what you can say, uh, more role, and that particular person generally will be having what? They will be having the template manager role, okay. So always remember this thing, that the template manager over there is a separate role, not given to everybody, but template creator and template user role will be given to all of you, otherwise you cannot work, okay. Now once that particular thing, means like the particular role you have got within your user ID, what are you going to do? You're going to click on manage. Once you click on manage, then click on templates, okay. So you will get it templates like this. Scroll down lower, then you will find this thing as sourcing template over here. Click on the sourcing. Now you will see a lot of templates over here, and you will be thinking like, Manoj, from where we will be picking up all this thing? Okay, because a lot of templates over here, which one is standard, which one is custom, you don't know. So that is the first question generally you should remember. Why? Because see, sometimes you will work in a project, sometimes other people will also work in the project. There's other Ariba consultant. So it's mandatory to follow some Ariba best practices over here. So whenever you will be creating a custom template and renaming it, always use CUS, then something, okay? Whatever may be the thing. CUS sourcing underscore RFP underscore process. Like this you can write. So what will happen is like everybody will know that this is a customized one, okay? So that is the first thing which all of you should remember over here. Why? Because remember guys, you have to work during your implementation, and after implementation in support also you have to work with that. And in support, here lies all of the fighting, because nobody, if you are renaming it just like a standard template name, then nobody can determine whether it's a standard one or a complex, custom one. So you have to go inside and check everything, then only you will understand. Okay, but as a let's say expert consultant, how you will understand, even if there is a fighting between, means like a lot of customized template is present over here, how you will understand which is a standard template and which is a customized template? For that also we have a very shortcut. Okay, you will see the owner over here. See, I have highlighted this particular portion over there in the screen, that is owner. Now if the owner over here is Ariba system, you can see over here it is coming automatically, Ariba system. Okay, I'm just moving my cursor over here. So if the owner is Ariba system, that particular template is a standard template and nothing else. Okay, always remember this thing. So if you look at the request for proposal template, this is the standard template, request for proposal, and you see the owner as Ariba system, that means this is the standard template. And why I am saying this, because always remember, whenever you are going to create a custom template, don't use a custom template to copy another custom template. What will happen then? There will be a lot of issues. Okay, why? Because all of the customization of your previous template will come into your new template. So as a uh, Ariba standard rule over here, or best practices rule over here, what we do is like we copy from the standard template and then create our custom template. So now we know request for proposal and owner is the Ariba system. This is a standard one. So what I will do, I will click on that. So once I click on that, most participants generally try to open it and try to edit something. You won't be able to do it. Why? Because this is a standard template. So what you should do? You should click on the copy option. Once you click on the copy option, system will ask you, okay, what is the name of your template? So I will say CUS. Okay. Here I will not want to use that particular thing, RFP. Let's say uh, uh, template. Now, what is the meaning of the particular name which I put over here? So basically, I put over here RFP to denote the process. Mark means marketing template. That means this RFP template is directed towards which department? Towards the marketing department. Now, when I will click on OK, what will happen? A custom template will be created where, see over here, it has been created. That means what? In my custom template, all the standard related template contents has been moved into my custom templates. Now I can customize it. So I will click on this one. I will click on open. Okay. Once I click on open, then what will happen? This is the basic things which we will be able to see. Now this is the template configuration, the main template screen over here. Now most of you will be thinking, Manoj, this is a very small screen. It's nothing much over here. Then I will say surprise, guys. Why? Because here you'd be able to see a lot of things, okay, which won't be seen just by looking at this particular template like this. Okay, so one by one we are going to cover it over here. So first of all, this is the overview tab which you are seeing over here. So when I will click on the overview tab, first thing first is like the properties. When I'm clicking on properties over here, you will see most of the things are coming automatically. Why? Because system is determining all those stuff. So that is why all of these things are coming automatically. Okay, barring one thing, that is the condition. Most of the time we don't edit anything in the properties. Okay, so this is the starting point for properties. Second thing is the task. Now what is the concept of task over here? So remember this thing, guys. As I told you before, most people generally think that approval in upstream and downstream is same in Ariba, but I will say it is totally different. Why? Because approval in upstream is a part of what? It's a part of a task. So basically it is an approval task and nothing else. But but if we recognize how many kinds of tasks are there, then I will say there is two kinds of tasks. One is approval task, which you can see over here. The approval tasks are appearing over here, both of the tasks. And then there is non-approval task. Then you will ask me, Manoj, what is a non-approval task? Then I will tell you an example. Now let's say at any point of time, your client is going to come and ask you that, guys, I have a requirement that before the final triggering of publishing happens, I want one of my user to manually go into the sourcing project and check each and every data, whether it is fulfilling the procurement policy or not. Then you will obviously ask this question to your client, that why? Because ultimately all those information will be checked by your approver. So then your clients come and say, "Hey, my approvers are generally high ranking officers who are generally busy with the work." So what they will check? They will check only the item, and means like basically the items which you're ordering within the sourcing project and their price, nothing else. But I want to check each and everything. Then you will say this is a legitimate requirement. So what you need to do, you need to create a custom task. Basically, it's a non-approval task where approval is not required. Okay, so what will happen? The user, the buyer will go into the system. They will check that particular project, and once the project is checked, they will click on mark completed successfully. That means what? That means that particular task aim or objective has been achieved. Okay, so that is the meaning of what? That is the meaning of task over here. So tasks are also one of the most important point over here while doing the customization, which we have a look at. Now the next is the documents. Now most of you might be thinking documents means, Manoj, it's what we upload or download. And I will say no, guys. Documents over here means any rule, any rule regarding the bidding over here. If you want to change, you have to change it over here. Okay. Now 50 to 55% of the rule over here does not have any meaning. Why? Because nobody follows that much advanced sourcing project. But rest of the 45% of the rule, they are very, very important. Why? Because they are being frequently used. Frequently used means, I will say, out of this all 4 projects which I have done, guys, I will be sharing all my requirement over here. That means basically I will not tell the full requirement, but I will be telling you this kind of requirements will come from your client, and then you have to change this particular parameter. So each of this parameter we will go and we will discuss when you're going to change it in which scenario. Okay, so that is the meaning of documents. Now next tab is condition. Now what is the importance of condition over here? So first of all, remember this thing guys, that when I'm talking about condition, just a moment guys. Yeah. So guys, I think I'm audible to all of you, right?
Yes, Manoj, you are.
Yeah, thanks for the confirmation, Iraj. Yeah, so now the next thing is like, what is the meaning of condition? Now this is one of the most important thing. Why? Because many people think like, you know, let's say I'm giving an example of the requirement. Let's say you're having two geographic location from the client side. You're going to implement Ariba in India as well as in France. So your clients come up and say that my approver in India would be having different rules, and my approver in France will be having different rules. What he will do? You cannot segregate this thing, right? Through rules. Why? Because there is only one task. Okay. So what you need to do is like, even if you can create two tasks, one is India based approval, another is French based approval. What will happen? Both of the approval tasks will get triggered. How will the triggering of task? Through the condition. Basically, condition means what? It's a logical expression. So logical expression means you will be putting some name, and then you will put an operator, and then you will put a value to check that particular expression whether it's true or not. If it is true, then what will happen? If it is true, then the task will not get triggered. That is the meaning of condition. So remember, in condition, you will be putting logical expression. That condition, you will link it with the task. Once you link it with the task, then what will happen? If it is true, then the task will get triggered. If it is false, that means expression, then the task will not get triggered. So in this case, what you have to do, you have to put if country or if region is equal to India, and if second condition would be if region is equal to France. Now you have to link this India specific task with the India specific expression. Similarly, France specific condition, or sorry, France specific task, you're going to link it with the France specific condition. Then depending upon the region, automatically that particular thing will get what? Get triggered over here. Okay. So that is how the things happens over here, guys. Always remember this thing. Okay. So this is the overview of the template. So let us go into the system and have a think first. The first thing, when I was discussing on the process flow side for RFP, guys, I was discussing about one point. And what was that particular point? That every RFP over here and every RFP template will be decided by the department, right? Why? Because based on the department only your template will be visible. So how you will control the template visibility? Obviously, the answer is by writing a condition, and then you have to link that condition. So how we can write a condition? So we are going to at least create a department check, and then the department check has to be linked with the template. That is the first thing. Whenever you're going in a project and start working, that is the first thing which you're going to do. Why? Because from my experience, guys, forget about anybody else. Okay, I'm not talking about anybody else here. From my experience, what will happen if you don't follow this particular thing? The issue will be like, you have done all the things over here, then you have forgotten to link it. This will get caught where during the testing. So that is why the first thing which you do over here is linking of department with the template. So click on add condition. Once you click on add condition, here I'm going to put department check. Over here, department check what? Department check for template visibility. Now you can see the expression over here, first of all. So where I will write the expression, you can see all are true, and then there is an inverted triangle. So click on that inverted triangle. Once you click on the inverted triangle, you will see the field match. Click on the field match. Now once you click on the field match, click on select. Once you click on select, what will happen? You will find all these fields. So basically, guys, what are all these fields? These fields are required in your sourcing project. And the next question, guys, is all of you can take a guess over here that from where these particular fields are coming. Can anybody take a guess, guys? You can use the chat box for taking a guess, guys. From where these particular fields are coming? And why I'm asking this question, I will also reply to it. Why? Because this is a little bit important to understand that. Come on, guys, take a guess over here. Correct. Correct, guys. So actually it is coming from your upstream database. This is an important point to remember. All of these fields which you're seeing, these fields are for sourcing project, but from where it is coming? It is coming from the database table field name. So for saving all the sourcing related stuff, Ariba will have a database, right? That database field name is put over here and nothing else. Now, why I'm telling this thing? Because I think we have discussed a little bit about the flex fields, right? So guys, can any of you, take a guess or what is a flex field in Ariba? Yeah. So remember this thing. I think most of you who are coming from SAP background, you have heard the name custom fields. That ZZ something or YY something, right? That particular fields in SAP Ariba is generally called as flex fields. So always remember that whenever I'm talking about flex field, that means it's a custom field. Okay. And you cannot create it. Even I cannot also create it. Why? Because we don't have authorization for that. We have to go to the connect.ariba.com and you have to raise an enhancement request, then only those fields will get created. So those are flex fields. Now, why I'm telling this very important, because let's say your client asks, I want some 2 flex fields in my sourcing project, or basically in the sourcing screen. So those fields will also get selected. Now, let's say one field is responsible for the department too. So then your client is asking that apart from the department, I want to put a condition on the 2 flex field too. Now, what do you think, guys? Those flex fields, will it appear over here or not in this particular list? it will appear over here, guys. Why? Because ultimately flex fields are fields where you have to add the data, right? And data needs to be stored. Where it will be stored? It will be stored in the database only, right? In the database table, those fields will get added. So automatically those fields will get saved over here. So sometimes don't get surprised when your client is saying, hey, guys, put a check on my flex fields, because I have seen a lot of, consultant who are very good. But the thing is, like, when this particular kind of requirement come, they will say, from where I will do this thing? The thing is, like, you don't have to do anything. Just like a standard fields, you're doing an expression. Similarly, for flexible also, you can do the expression. There is no issues on this part. Okay. So let us choose department first. Okay. Go into the department and choose it. Once you choose the department, then what you will do? You will choose a value. Like you can choose all over here. Okay. Now, based upon this thing, remember, department generally, what we do is like we put over here when we load, department is actually part of your master data load in SAP Ariba Upstream. So when you will be creating this thing, you will have this data from your client side only. So client will be telling you that, okay, put, marketing department, put HR department, put finance department, put consulting department, like this, put all this department. So once you put all this department, that is why I said before coming to the screen and configuring this thing, you need to have some data that this department belongs to, this template belongs to which department. Now once you know this thing, after you have created your custom template, in the condition over here you will come and you will choose this department is equal to something. You can choose for all the department, and you can choose also for one department at the same time. But generally we don't choose all. Why? Because if you choose all over there, then it will be available for all the what? All the departments. So generally we will choose either IT or marketing or HR, like this. So once you have selected it over here, you're going to click on OK. And you will see your check has been created. So template visibility check has been done. Very good. But where? You have to link this thing, link this condition to the template. Then only the visibility will get restricted. Where? So this is quite important over here, guys. Keep this thing in mind. You have to click on the overview. Okay. As I said, in the properties, go to the condition. Once you go into the condition over here, click on match project type. And here you will click on department check for template visibility. Now, if you go and check, this was the match project type. This was what the standard one. We are not going to change that thing. Okay. Remember, guys, this is also one of the most important thing. The condition over here, which is appearing from the standard template, don't remove it. Okay. Why? Because then the system, this template will not behave properly over there. Okay. Along with it, I have added a department check for template visibility. So now what will happen? When the department will be all over there, then only this particular template is going to get appeared. Means like it will appear in the screen. So similarly, if you put marketing over there, it will only appear when the user is selecting the marketing department, end user. Similarly, if you put as department is equal to HR, so somebody from HR has logged in and they have chose the department as HR, then only this template will be visible. Now, before we proceed ahead, guys, can any of you take a guess that why generally even if the client is saying that template condition according to department is not mandatory, but still you would convince your client to do it? Can any of you tell me why? And remember guys, hint, the answer is no separate process type. Let's say example, two department is still having the same process type, but still you would like to use department and create two templates, and those two templates will not be visible to each other. They will be mutually exclusive. Then why we create it? Template visibility based on department, even if it is not required by the client. Correct. So remember this thing, guys. First thing is like the maintenance of these things will be easier. Why? Because when you will see, when you in implementation, client will give you some set of requirement. Okay, when you have done the go live in your support project, those uh, you know end user will be coming and they will be telling to you that okay, we have not given any department specific rule for you, but right now after using it we have understood that we should have a department specific rule. Our workflow will be different, our conditions will be different for the bidding, so those things you have to do it. So remember this thing. So even if your client is saying no, don't do it, you still have to convince them. Otherwise all these particular things which we are doing in the implementation, we have to do it when in your support. And in support, basically you have to remember, not only you're going to create a new document, new templates, but what about the active sourcing project? Because client will be of a different thinking process. They are not functional consultant. They will think like you will change the template automatically. This will be implemented across all your newly created RFP projects. Of course, it will work over there. But for the current active RFP project, which has been created earlier, that will also get changed accordingly. That is not the case for normal Ariba. In normal Ariba thing, always remember, whenever you will work with a template, this will never change your process for the active RFP or active sourcing project. It will only change whenever you create a new sourcing project. So if you try to do this thing in support project, and added complexity comes into the picture. So that is why we try to avoid it. And during our implementation, we convince the client that boss, you don't need it right now, but you will be needing this thing down the line after 4 to 5 months. Your end user will be coming to us and they will be saying this thing. That's the first thing. Second thing, why? Let us say, suppose you have done, 8 templates, and 8 template is visible to every department. All of the people over there will be scratching their heads, and what they will be doing, they will be creating during the hypercare support, they will be creating tickets like anything. You will be seeing 80% of the tickets which is coming, it is not a functional issue, neither a technical issue. It is a issue with which template to choose. So what will happen? You will be called upon to give again and again training to the buyer regarding this thing. To avoid this pains, generally what we do when we are going for any implementation, we will tell to the client, boss, you don't require it right now, but you are going to require this thing. These things will happen in your support project. There will be issue with your data. What will you do? Then most of the clients will say, okay. And some 5% or 6% clients will be stubborn. They will not listen to you. Then how to deal with them? Remember this thing, guys. Don't fight with them or don't argue with them. Okay. You will be having one SPOC, that is single point of contact from Ariba to the client. That particular person will be called as Ariba account executive. Now, this particular person, you have to call them and you have to tell them this particular scenario. Once you tell this particular thing scenario to the Ariba account executive will immediately convince the client and say that whatever you are saying is correct. This will cause a lot of issues later on. Okay, then that 5 to 6% of the client will also get, you know, get on your bandwagon. Why? Because it will be verified by your Ariba account executive too. So this is how you do this thing. So always remember, in all the project wherever you will go, 80 to 85% of the customer is going to say template will be based on department. 15% who will say, no, I don't require it. You have to convince your client either through the explanation or through by using the Ariba account executive. Okay. Now, once this particular thing has been done, what next we do? Generally, we create custom task. Okay. So custom task, I think we have talked about over here. So we are going to see the different uses of custom task. That's the first thing. And then we will see the sequence and all the other stuff over here. What's the meaning of sequence and all those other stuff we are going to see over here. So first of all, if I want to create a custom task, what I have to do? I have to click on this task over here, click on this action. Once I click on action, I will be clicking on to do task. Now here, what I will do is like, WO linkage. Okay. Okay. Without linkage. Okay. Owner, don't change the owner, keep it to the project owner itself. Okay. We will be coming on that particular thing. What is the concept of project owner on those things? Observer, I think everybody knows what is the meaning of observer. That means the users who would be able to view this particular status of this task, but they won't be able to change the task or edit the task. Okay. Next is due date. Due date, let's say I will put 3 days. What will happen? So whenever this particular task will get triggered, you have to complete or finish this task within 3 days. Otherwise, what will happen? Otherwise, your task is going to get expired. Then if your task get expired, what will happen? The process will stop in between. So you have to manually go to your sourcing project and once again trigger this task. Then only you have to complete the task, then only it will go forward. So always remember this thing. So that is the concept of due date. So most of the Ariba consultant think, like if they go into the due dates, they don't need to do anything at all. If there is no concept of due date over here, what will happen is like, after the due date also, nothing will happen. No, it is not the case over here, guys. After the due date, what will happen? Task will get expired. And then there is a thing which is called as required over here. Okay, required, obviously you can say that this is a required custom task. As I was saying, if a client is saying this is a mandatory thing which needs to get what, which needs to get done, then you can make it as required is equal to yes. Okay, but if you're saying it's an optional task, you have to click on no. Optional task means, if you do it, well and good. If you don't do it also, it is not required, but it is a nice to have. So that's the difference between nice to have and must have. If it is a must have requirement, then required should be yes, and nice to have, then required should be no. Keep this thing in mind, guys. Okay. Okay, next thing, the predecessor and rank. I'm coming to that point, but let me just create this task, then I will be going to the rank. Predecessor will come next. So you can see the task which I have created, it is showing under custom task 1 without linkage. So can any of you take a guess over here, guys, that why this particular task is appearing like this, or what's the importance of sequence of task? So always remember over here, guys, the standard SAP Ariba, how they will behave. They will trigger the first task, that is approval for event publish first. Second, they will trigger the task review for team grading. And third, they will trigger custom task without WIO. W/O means without linkage. That means, remember that task will always be triggered based on the linkage part, or basically based on the sequence part only. Okay, not on anything else. That's the first thing. And what's the second thing? Now, second thing, you decide the custom task which we have created, it should not coming at the third position, it should be coming at the first position. How to change it? How to change it? Pretty simple. So here you will click on custom task, sorry, click on the standard task over here. Okay, approval for event publish. What is the rank it is having? 0. Okay, once the rank is coming as 0, click on exit. Okay, now click on your custom task and click on edit task. Once you click on this particular edit task, what next you can see over here? Now here rank is coming as 20. So how the rank generally get generated in Ariba? So your first task will have rank 0 by default. Second task will have rank 10. Third task will have rank 20. That means Ariba follows a terminology where 0 is the first rank. Then plus 10 happens for each updation, or basically each increment to the task. So that means rank, if it is the first task, rank is 0. If it is the second task, 0 plus 10, 10. Third task, 0 plus 10 plus 10. That means 20. So like this is the standard terminology which has to be done. Now, if I want to move this task from third to first, what do you have to do? I have to make this task rank as 0, like this. Done. But we have already seen in the standard task that its rank is 0. Same rank we are giving to this custom task. Won't there be any collision? So what do you think, guys? Will there be a collision or there won't be any collision at all? Uh, Now here you have to keep a little bit uh, understanding of SAP Ariba. Why? Because most of the consultant who are working in SAP Ariba, they haven't done this particular kind of requirement checking. And I will tell you why it is important. So I have put the same rank and I will click on OK. Now you will see the custom task has moved into the first one. Approval for event publish, which was the first task, has been pushed to the second spot. Why? Always understand this thing, guys, that whenever there is a same rank between a standard task and a custom task, the custom task will always win. Always remember this particular thing. Okay. Now, this is the first condition, good condition, which we have seen. Apart from this particular condition, there is another requirement which gets come over here. That is, you will need another custom task. Okay. And how the system will behave in that particular case. Why? Because we have compared the standard task with the custom task. How will the system behave when there is a comparison between a custom task and another custom task? So let us see that. Click on action. Once again, click on task. Now, if I click on OK, what will happen? This task, custom task 2, is coming at the last position. Now, let's say I want to move it at the top. Then what will we do? We'll click on edit task and I will click on the rank as 0 and I will put this thing as OK. Now, guys, what you can see, all of you, custom task 2 is coming at the top above custom task 1. So always remember two things. First thing, whenever there is a fighting between a standard task and a custom task over a rank, custom task will always win. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is like, if there is a fighting between a custom task and another custom task, then who will win? The most immediate custom task which you have created. That means, or the most recent custom task which you have created. The custom task 1 was the first task which we have created. The most recent custom task is custom task 2. So that is why system is saying, out of the same category of custom task, if you compare the rank, system will give preference to the most recent custom task which has been created. Okay, keep this thing in mind, guys. Why? Because in complex project, these things are going to come over there. Okay, I think Diksha is having a question. Can you show the ranks of custom task one and standard task? Okay, let me show you all the three ranks over here. Okay, so custom task 2, you can come over here and you can see the rank as 0. Okay, this is the task 2. Let's come to task 1. Again, rank 0. Okay, then let's come to the standard task over here. Again, rank 0. So as you can see, all the custom task over here and standard task is having same rank. So that is how the system behave. Always keep this thing in mind, guys. Why? Because very few consultant know about this thing. And let me tell you about this thing. Lot of participants generally ask me, Manoj, like this particular complex condition, are we going to see in the project? You cannot say, guys. If in your first project only you are getting a work in a complex project, what you will do? Are you going to say no? Similarly, there is another scenario. Let's say you have won a new project. It's a normal project, a simple project. You've done it. After that, you get a complex project. Are you going to say, no, I'm not going to do it? You cannot do it like this. So that is why these things are pretty much important, which you should keep in your mind always. Okay. Now, once you have created this custom task and all those tasks over here, okay, what I'm going to do is like, I am going to change the rank a bit. Okay. Why? Because I want to tell you the main, what you can say, that uh, uh, disadvantage of using the concept of rank. That is also one of the most important thing very few people know about. Okay. Okay. Now, how the task will get triggered? Custom task 1, custom task 2, then approval for event publish, like this, and then review for team grading. But review for team grading will come later. But at the time of you publishing, these three tasks will get triggered one by one. Now, I will tell you what's the issue. Your requirement from the client was like, so somebody or some user should come in custom task 2, check all the documents, check all the things which is properly appearing within the sourcing project or not. then he or she completes that particular task successfully, then the approval should begin. But right now, how the flow is happening, task 1 will get triggered, task 2 will get triggered, and approval for event publish will get triggered. Now, approval for event publish, if that particular persons generally approve it today, and the guy who is responsible for custom task 2 has taken vacation for today, or day off for today, tomorrow when he or she will come and check in the system, they cannot approve it. Sorry, they cannot finish their task. Why? Because the approval has been completed and the RFP has been published. So this is a violation of the client's requirement. Remember this thing, guys. This particular issue generally will also not come up during your negative testing. This will only come when I said this particular kind of scenario exists, and after your go live, there will be some person who will be taking a vacation in between, who will be responsible for that custom task completion, and before that somebody will do the approval. Then there will be huge escalation. Okay, so this is the issue. The issue is like Ariba is saying, I will trigger the custom task 1, I will trigger, then I will trigger the custom task 2, then I will trigger the approval for event publish. Then one after another, all of these 3 tasks will get completed. Okay, that's my thinking. But the issue is like, according to the system logic, what it should have been there, that custom task, once it is finished successfully, then only the approval for event publish should get triggered. That is the main requirement over here. Then how to get it done? Then what you have to do is like, go to the standard task, approval for event publish, click on edit task. And here there is a concept which is called as predecessor. Click on select, and here you choose the custom task 2 with linkage. Click on OK, then click on OK. Now, let's say how Ariba will proceed with the triggering of task. Ariba will trigger the custom task 1. Okay, then next Ariba will trigger the custom task 2. Now when Ariba will go to the approval for event publish, then automatically the predecessor is present over there. And what is the concept of predecessor? That means we are telling that approval for event publish, this task predecessor is the custom task 2. That means unless and until the predecessor task is completed successfully, you cannot trigger the approval for event publish. That means today approval for event publish is custom task 1, custom task 2 has been triggered. Approval for event publish will not get triggered. So if somebody has taken a day off for today, that particular person will return on Monday, and that time also approval for event publish is not triggered. So what that person will do, that person will go to the task 2, check all the data, and click on mark as completed successfully. Then only the approval for event publish will get triggered. Once it gets triggered, then there is no issue. Why? Because your custom task 2 has been completed successfully. So this is the concept of predecessor and rank. So in most of the project, what I've seen is like Ariba consultants generally use the concept of ranks very what you can say, in a very heavy manner, but they don't understand the shortcomings of rank. So to improve on the shortcomings of rank, you should use the concept of predecessor. But remember, guys, predecessor task should not be used here and there everywhere. You should use some specific logic, and if those logic is satisfied, then only you should use it. So what is the first logic? Always remember, predecessor task can be used if there's a combination of custom task and approval task. That means for a standard approval task, it is depending on another custom task. Then only you should use the concept of predecessor task. Now, then you will ask me, Manoj, what about custom task and custom task? If we are having two custom tasks, can I make first custom task as the predecessor for second custom task? Yes, you can make it, but there is no requirement over there. It is not needed to be used over there. Similarly, these two standard tasks is present, right? Approval for event published, review for team grading. Can I do it? Yes, you can do it, but it is not needed. Why? Approval for event published will happen during the RFP publishing. Review for team grading, when it will happen? At the time of awarding, just before awarding. So those will be triggered at a different phases. So always remember, if you're talking about custom and custom task, it is not required. If you're talking about the standard and standard task, it is not required. But if it is a combination of standard and custom task, then only predecessor are used over there. So be very clear on this particular part, guys. Okay. So this is the basic thing for the task over here, guys. Okay. So let us do one thing, guys. Let us take in very small breaks, small break over here. Once we come back from the break, we are going to see how the approval for the tasks are done over here. Once we check for the approval of the task, then we will be linking condition with the task. That is also one of the most important thing. So once we complete these two things, then we are going to take a question answer session. After that, the documents part. And remember, guys, documents part is the most heavy part in SAP Ariba sourcing project template configuration. Okay, so let's take a small break of 5-6 minutes over here, guys, and then we will be completing the remaining part on the task and the documents too. Yeah, thanks, guys. Let's take a small break. Guys, are you able to hear me? Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation, guys. Okay. So once we have done with this custom task, what next we have to do is like we have to just a moment go to the approval task. So let us see this particular approval task first. Click on the task and then click on edit task over here. Don't change any of this thing over here. Why? Because these are coming from the standard stuff. Next is like allow auto approval. So what do you think, guys? What is the meaning of this particular thing? I think the meaning of this option is, I think, what you can say, self-explanatory over here, right? So allow auto approval. If you click on yes, then what will happen? There will be no approval which will be required while you are publishing the RFP. So first of foremost, when you're doing this configuration, always click on this option as no. Okay. So allow auto approval should always be no. It should not be yes. That's the first thing. And the second thing is like the required tab over here. It should be a required field. So allow auto approval should be equal to no and required should be yes. These two are the two most important thing while you are doing this approval configuration. Okay. Now, once you've done this thing, then there is a external system approval. Now here, most of the people generally thinks what, that once you have clicked on this external system approval, uh, while you're doing the sourcing, your approval will go to S4 HANA. There you can do the full approval and then it will come back over here automatically by just clicking on the system is equal to yes. Let me tell you guys, it is not possible over here right now. Why? Because first of all, I think I gave a wrong statement. Not possible. It is possible, but the thing is like, but just by clicking yes over here, it will not happen automatically. Why? Because this is one of the most important thing. Some clients generally will ask you to do that, and then you have to tell them that just by clicking on yes over here, it will not happen. Why? Remember this thing, that there's a concept called as Ariba APIs. Have any of you heard the term Ariba APIs, guys? Any confirmation, guys? Can you please confirm whether you've heard this term or not? Okay, so I think let me explain over here, guys. What is Ariba APIs? So API, I think, stands for Application Programming Interface. So then what is the use of Ariba API? So basically, you will need a Java coder over here. You directly cannot do all this stuff over there. And Ariba will give you some of the APIs. Now, one of the APIs is Workflow APIs. Now, what you will do in the Workflow APIs over there? Very easy thing, very basic thing. But remember one thing, that Ariba APIs generally is used for, taking the data from Ariba and going to another third-party system. It can be an ERP system, it can be a Java-based system, or it can be any system. But generally, it is optimized for connection between ERP. It can be ECC or S4 HANA system along with Ariba. Now, if you want to do the system approval externally, what you need to do, you need to buy that API license from SAP Ariba, not us actually clients. So this is a very, very costly part. That's the first thing. Second thing, you will need a Java developer. Now, what that Java developer will do, they will activate that workflow, external system-based workflow API. Once that is activated, then what will happen? They will set the different rules over there. So we have to give the rules. So the generally the approver will be having this particular role, first approver, second approver level would be having this particular rules or something like this. We'll give the logic over there. That coding will be done by that particular Java guy within that external system workflow API. Once this coding is done, then what will happen? you will try to publish the RFP. The approval for RFP of the sourcing project will not happen in your Ariba system. It will happen in your S4 HANA system or ECC system. And then once it is approved fully, whether it is approved or rejected, the status will come over here after the process has been carried out in your ERP. So that is how the external system approval works. Okay, why? Because it is still not natively integrated. Why it is not natively integrated? If you ask me, then I will tell you over here that native integration of Ariba is a huge thing. Why? Because this will not only be for that particular client, but this will also be for all the clients. So remember, Ariba can go and just change this particular option, but this will affect all their clients. So all the client don't want this thing. So that is why any client who requires to do this thing, they have to buy the license of API. They have to hire one Java resource and they have to do it. And there is another issue which comes into the play. And what is that particular issue? So I think most of you will be knowing Ariba will be having some version, right? 14s, 13s, 15s. So whenever there is a version upgradation, let's say you are in Ariba 14s and you are moving to Ariba 15s, some of the fields will change. So there also you have to ask the Java developer to change the coding. Otherwise, it will throw up an error. So that is why few of the client, they will say, if it is a native integration, we will do it. Otherwise, if it's consisting of APIs, then economically, basically, it will be infeasible. So that is why, based on the feasibility section, no client implement this thing within their system. Okay. Now, what is the concept of approvers? So basically, I think everybody knows approver means what would be the approval levels over here. So how to write it over here? So let's say what I will do is like, click on search more, and I will add the sourcing approver as the first level of approval. Done. Next, at the second level of approval, what I will do, I will put sourcing manager as the approver. Third level, whom I will put vice president. Okay, so how it will come, guys? So I think I have given the answer over here, but which approver will be coming at first, which approver will be coming at last? Can any of you take a guess whether it will begin with Ariba vice president, area vice president, then sourcing manager, then sourcing approver, or the other way around? Correct, correct, guys. So always remember, whenever you are going into a project and this particular thing has been configured by some other Ariba consultant, don't, here I think many of you can understand area vice president generally will not be the level 1 approver, but sometimes vice president won't be there. You will have HR, you will have legal team, you will have finance team over there. So you won't be knowing who will be the level 1 approver. But if you try to understand this particular thing, what you need to do is like, look at the lowest one or the bottommost approver over here. This particular approver will be the first level approver. Okay, second level is sourcing manager, third level is area vice president. So always the bottommost approver which is coming, that is the level 1 approver, then level 2, then level 3, like this it will happen. Even if you go to any other project where this approval configuration has been done by somebody else, this is how you will read the approval level. Okay, now once you have done this thing, you can see approval rule flow type over here. It is coming mainly as parallel, serial, and then custom. Most of the time we will use parallel or serial. Custom we cannot use. Why? Because it is cannot be fully configured as of now. So I think parallel means what? all of the three approver will be triggered at the same time. Serial means what? One after another. So how will the approval look like? Let me do one thing, guys. Let me just unshare my screen once, and I will bring up a notepad over here, and we will discuss about a scenario. Yeah. So guys, are you able to see my screen? Can you please confirm? Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation, guys. Okay. So in sourcing approver, user one is there, user two is there. In manager, user three is there, user four is there, and user five is there. And in area vice president, only user six is there. So for serial approval and for parallel approval, what means, like, which user should give the approvals, guys? Serial, I think everybody knows what it will happening. It will happen like this. Sourcing approval will happen first, then sourcing manager, then area vice president. Okay. But in parallel, what will happen? All of the three approval level will be triggered at the same time. But why I am asking this question? Because ultimately these are groups. Groups means what? Basically these are roles. Okay. And in Ariba, you will always configure the approval workflow, whether you're in upstream or downstream, does not matter. It always has to be in groups or roles. But ultimately, who will be the approver? User, right? So that is why I am asking this particular question, that in serial and in parallel, which user has to give mandatorily the approval, then only the approval will be successful. So guys, can any of you take a guess how it will look like in serial? Then we will discuss about parallel. Which user needs to approve the sourcing project so that the serial approval workflow gets completed successfully? No, guys, I'm not asking about the group. I'm talking about the user ID. Which user ID? Yeah. So remember this thing, guys. Okay, it is about the serial. What about the parallel? Now here, guys, there's a little bit of confusion. Why? Because let me tell you, I also faced that particular confusion when I moved from SAP SAP SRM to SAP Ariba. Because SAP Ariba's architecture over here is a little bit different from SAP SAP SRM. So forget about the serial and parallel. How SAP Ariba works with the case of roles assignment with user. So basically, when you are saying this sourcing approver role is present in user 1 and user 2, forget about serial and parallel. When Ariba will trigger the first level of approval, that is sourcing approver, what will happen? Notification will go to both user 1 and user 2. Okay. Now, it does not matter whether user 1 approve or user 2 approve. But among this user 1 and user 2, if any of the user approves, that level is approved. Always remember, every user present in the role will be getting the notification, but any one of the user approve it, that particular level is done completely. Similarly, for sourcing manager, 3 user is there, 3 user will receive the notification. If any of the user among this particular 3 user approve, then sourcing manager approval will be done successfully. Okay. And the last one is parallel. Last one is area vice president. So here only one guy is there, one guy is going to receive a notification and one guy is going to do the approval. This is irrespective of serial or parallel. This is the unique feature of SAP Ariba. So this is one of the most important question. Not only this particular question is asked in the job interview, guys, but most of the time you have to also give the client interview. Client will ask you this kind of question. Why? Because this particular question is totally related to the business process. Why? Because I think in India, most of you know that there will be question based on what you can say the theoretical part. Mostly the question will be based out of theoretical part until and unless you're going for the big four company. But when questions will be asked from the client side, this type of question will be asked. Why? Because they will concentrate on the process. Okay. So this is how the approval works. So in serial, what will happen? One level at a time. So first sourcing approval level will get triggered. Either of user 1 or user 2 is going to approve, then this level is completed. Then sourcing manager will get triggered. Then either of this user 3, 4 or 5 can do the approval. Then sourcing manager approval will get completed successfully. And then the last level, that is vice president, will get triggered. So user 6 will approve it. This is how in serial it will look like. In parallel, all the 6 users will be getting the mail notification at the same time. And there is no, what you can say, no sequence to be followed. Why? Because here area vice president can come and approve it first, but still sourcing approver and sourcing manager is pending. So what will happen? Then the sourcing approver will come and approve, okay, done. Then it is still pending with sourcing manager. Sourcing manager will still do the approval, it will be done. And I think some of you who are coming from SRM background, they will say, if the last approval level is done, that means all the other approvals should be done. But remember this thing, guys, that was based on BRF, business rule framework. So there we will put what you can say, custom logic over there. Here, that particular custom logic will not work. Why? Because the architecture is totally different. We cannot do the coding. So that is why few of the participant who is coming from SAP background, they will say if the last level is approved, by default, all the other approval levels should get approved. No, it does not work like that in SAP Ariba. So in serial, what is happening? One level after another level will work. But in parallel, all the level will get triggered at the same time. Now, whichever user will come and log in first and give the approval, it will be completed successfully. That is the difference between serial and parallel. And let me tell you guys, this is same in upstream as well as downstream. I do remember that I have told all of you that upstream and downstream approval process are totally different, and you will see in the system it's totally different. But this particular logic will never change because this is the architecture of SAP Ariba. Okay, so what next? Next is the custom. Now custom over here, that is one of the limitation of Ariba upstream. Custom cannot be fully implemented over here. Why? Because custom means a combination of serial and parallel. Now see over here, system is not giving us any option to add anything in the approval level only. And there is no option to select, okay, these two approval level, okay, these two things are not coming. Let's say my requirement from the client is sourcing approver and sourcing manager will be in parallel and area vice president will be in serial. But you cannot select it anywhere. Why? Because the approval level over here has become in display mode. So that is why I will say don't select the custom. That is the issue with the custom task. In custom task, you cannot add more approver or delete or change approver over here. Why? Because this functionality is a limitation in Ariba upstream. In Ariba downstream, it will work fully. Why? Because you can design those things according to your need. You can say 3 levels will be in parallel, 1 level will be in serial. You can design it like that. Why? Because you can design it within the downstream approval configuration. But here, you cannot do it. So if you go into the parallel, so see there you can add more. If you click on the serial, there you can click on the add more and do it. But in the custom, it is still facing the limitation. So that is why we cannot add it. Yeah, Tanmay, see the thing is like, no, not 3 levels. Actually, if you want to add more, yes, we can do it. Let's say I want to add legal team. Okay, 4th level then. Now I want to add finance team. I can add another level also. So it's not a mandatory thing to have 3 levels, but generally most of the time when you will go for implementation, 3 level is the standard thing. 2 level is generally used for your medium complex project, and for high complexity project generally 3 to 4 approver is generally used, not more than that. Why? Because when you will go for the Ariba implementation, your client will be giving you one requirement that will be at the top. That means my end-to-end process should take up less time. If you put 5 or 6 approval over there, your client is going to say, hey, I don't need that. Why? Because 3 level of approval is more than enough. Okay, and I want to reduce the turnaround time for my end-to-end process, end-to-end procurement process. So that is why generally we work with 3 or maximum by till 4 level. But here in Ariba, there is no limit. You can put even 30 approvers also. Satish, there is no limit for this. There is no limit. No, Ramarao. See, the thing is like whether you're in parallel or in serial, as I said, it does not matter uh, from the user perspective. What it matters is from the role perspective. If you put parallel, that means what will happen? All the level which you have selected, it will be triggered simultaneously. Now, from this particular scenario, if you understand, as I said, sourcing approval, that means either of user 1, user 2 has to approve. For sourcing manager, either of user 3 or 4 or 5 has to approve. And from third level, user 6 has to approve. But there is no sequence over here. The main difference in Ariba between the serial and parallel is sequence. Not from the user perspective, but from the group perspective. Why? Or the role perspective. Because in serial, level are in sequence. Level 1, then level 2, then level 3. But in parallel, what you will see is like there is no sequence. All of them has triggered at the same time. Now, whichever user will come in and log in, they will do it. But remember, it's not like user 6. If that particular person approve it, all the 3 level of approval will be done. Why? Because in that scenario also, either of user 1, user 2 has to approve. That is for the first level. Then user 3 or user 4, user 5. Among these 3, user 1 user has to approve for second level. The third level is user 6. So there's no issue with the sequence. User 6 can come and say, hey, I will approve it. They can do the approval. Then instead of going at the second level, you can directly go to the first level. In the first level, user 1 or user 2 can approve it. So that's the difference. Yeah, Diksha, correct. So level of approval generally depend on your client's requirement over here. But as I said, on a general 3, maximum 4. It can range anything between 2 to 4 levels of approval. Okay, it depends on your client. Yeah, Amal, we are going to see that particular thing. That means linking of condition with your task over here. Yes, you can link that particular condition also over here, but I will suggest don't use that particular task condition for your approval. Why? Because this particular feature is only available in downstream, not in upstream. That is the issue. That is few of the limitation which you compare. If you compare this thing upstream with the downstream approval workflow, this is two of the limitation which you will face. Okay, but for the other task I will be showing you right now only. No, Venkatesh, as I said, in parallel 6 user will get the notification, but ultimately 3 user, one from level 1, one from level 2, one from level 3 has to approve it, not all. Same thing for serial also, 3 users need to approve it. Okay, so remember, for each level, one user has to approve it. Whether you're in serial or in parallel, it does not matter. Serial means, and there will be sequence. Parallel means there will be no sequence. That's the difference. Yeah. So thanks, guys, on this part. Okay. So let us try to understand the concept of observer. Now, observers generally, we don't use it in small or medium complex project. But when there is a big project or a little bit complex project over there, there we will use the concept of observer. Why? Because as I told you earlier, that when the sourcing project is of very high value, what do you mean by a sourcing project value? So let's say if the sourcing project value is somewhere around more than $1 million, then it's a high value sourcing project. At that time, observer will be used. So in configuration side, okay, the configuration side only, what will happen is like in the observer, we will not do anything. Why? Because you cannot define within the template which sourcing project is of high value, which sourcing project is of low value. Can you do it? No, right? When you will get to know whether it's a high value sourcing project or a low value sourcing project? When you're creating the sourcing project itself. Okay, so that is why observer, we will never give this thing over here. If it is required, we will give at the sourcing project level. So that is what I told you guys when I was showing you the process type, process flow over there. Okay, similarly over here, you have to put a due date. You can put 5 days or 4 days depending upon your requirement. But remember, this you cannot set it arbitrarily. this particular due date has to be given from the client side, not from our side. Okay. Then I think required everybody knows. Rank also everybody knows. Predecessor also everybody know. But there is one more important thing. Repeat for each document draft. What do you mean by repeat for each document draft over here? That means Ariba system is asking you, guys, uh, for version 1, I totally understand. Ariba is going to say to you that this is the flow, this is the approval flow. What about version 2? What about version 3? What about version 4? So, first of all, taking a decision on this matter means you have to understand the process flow. So, how many times can we publish an RFP, guys? Can any of you take a guess? How many times we can publish an RFP or republish an RFP? So guys, can any of you take a guess? How many times can we, republish generally? A number of times. You cannot say, hey, you published the RFP, after that you cannot change the version. Why? Because something is to be needed, something is to be changed, or you have to extend the date, you will do it, and then it will create a version 2. Version 2 will go to the supplier in Ariba network. Similarly, another supplier makes you a request, hey boss, I am getting less time, please increase the time. Again, you're going to edit it, you're going to extend the time, that will be called as version 3. So system is asking for you that for the first time when you're doing this, approval will get triggered. Second time, third time, fourth time, do you want to trigger this approval? So what should be the answer? Generally, yes. Why? Because otherwise, for the first time, let's say you only have authority till 10,000 USD. Till 10,000 USD, you can approve it. So your manager will approve it. If you put 15,000, your manager is going to reject it. Sourcing approval, sourcing manager is going to reject it. So what that particular person will do is like they will create a $10,000 US, RFP. Once it is approved, then that particular person will come and edit the sourcing project, and they will make the value as 1 million. No approval, right? From the second version onwards, that will be the issue. So always remember, since we are in the approval for event published task, this task should always be selected as yes. Why? Repeat for each document draft. Why? Because publishing can happen a number of times. So this approval should get triggered a number of times. That is the meaning of repeat for each document type draft is equal to yes. Okay. Once you have done this thing, your approval configuration is done. Now, if you go to the next thing, this is also approval task. But when it will be used, let's say you're doing the awarding, right? You will select, okay, this particular supplier I want to award. At that time, once you click on submit for awarding option, and the last time, this approval task will get generated. Why? Because some clients, especially government clients, they generally don't want their employees to take an arbitrary decision. In private clients, you know sometimes they will give that particular freedom to their employees. Only thing is like employees has to refer the procurement manual or the sourcing policy manual. But in government project, they are bound by all the rules. So government projects, they will say that no, I cannot give this particular freedom to the different user. Why? Because if they give that particular option to the user, by mistake somebody chooses it, it will be issue with that particular office, government office. So to avoid that, in every government project, generally when you will go and do this Ariba implementation, there you have to implement this thing. Generally, which approvers over here will be put? Generally, two teams are put over here. One is the sourcing manager. Then which team will come in? Legal team will come in, and then finance team will come in. Okay. Generally, sourcing manager means what? Somebody from the procurement side will be there, and legal team will come. Why? Because of the terms and condition. And finance team has to come. Why? Because they will only, give a final approval for the price bids. So that is why these three roles generally are used for your awarding approval over here. And rest of all the things you can see same over here: approval flow type, parallel, serial, custom, due date, required field, also it should be yes, rank, predecessor, everything is coming. Now repeat for each document draft. So what do you think, all of you guys? What should be there? Yes or no? Okay, so I think most of you have given the answer as yes. So as I said, before you take a decision, you have to understand the process. So first of all, I'm going to ask a simple question: how many times you are going to do the awarding in a sourcing project or an RFP? How many times you are going to do the awarding? Correct, right? Once. Generally once only. You cannot open the RFP or sourcing project multiple times, or not open, actually awarding. You cannot do it multiple times, right? So if you cannot do it multiple times, that means you're sure there is no version 2. Which option you should select? No. Why? Because you're telling to the system the awarding generally happens one time only. Okay. So for that particular time, there will be a approval. Why? Because after version 1, means after you have done the awarding in SAP Ariba, the sourcing project status will change to complete. You cannot award it once again. Always remember this thing. So in this particular case, it should be no. Okay. So this is the difference between the first approval task and the second approval task. In first approval task, you will make sure that the repeat for each document draft is selected as yes, and in the second task, repeat for each document draft should be selected as no. Okay. So always remember, that is why, guys, lot of participants generally ask me that, Manoj, why process flow is the first thing which is required? Because remember, configuration is used for doing what? For customizing the business process. So if we don't know the business process, then we won't be able to do the configuration. Most trainer, they will say, hey, either focus on the full business process flow, or they will show you different options for the configuration, but they will never link the particular process, that why you are doing this particular changes, and the changes which you are doing in here in the configuration section, how they are going to affect in the business process. Okay. So always in this particular points which I have mentioned over here, guys, look at the particular scenario or the business flow, then only you will understand. And I know, guys, some of you who will be working in a government project, for them sometimes you have to do multiple opening, but it is rarely, like 4 or 5% out of the whole 100% sourcing project. So for that 4 or 5%, what you need to do, you need to create a different template, and within that template you will write RFP with multiple openings. And then you have to create an enhancement request saying that please give me the option to for this particular template so that we can do the awarding multiple times. Okay. So this kind of requirement will be there, but only for government project, guys. But for private companies, you will never need that particular thing. Okay. So this is how you have to configure the approval workflow. Okay. For the sourcing project. Now, once you have done this particular thing, what you will do, you will click on OK. Don't click on cancel. Because if you click on cancel, whatever thing you have done, this will go away. Okay. Next thing. Once you have done this particular thing, let's say your requirement is custom task 1 should be visible to US region. Custom task 2 should be visible to Europe region. But right now, there is no condition. So custom task 1, custom task 2 is going to appear everywhere. So how you will do that? So you have to go to the condition first. Okay. And once you click on the condition, click on add condition. And here you're going to make like US based task condition. Click on field match. Click on region. See, it is coming over here. Once you click on the region, click on US. So first of all, select over here, scroll down, USA is coming over here, select USA, click on done, click on OK. Once again, click on OK. So the first condition, US based task condition has been done. Next is Europe based task condition. So you click on this one, click on field match. Once again, you will select the regions, and here what you will select? Here you will select Europe. So where is Europe? See, it is coming under over here, Europe. Click on this one, click on done, click on OK, and click on OK. So that means what you have done, you have created Europe based task condition, US based task condition. Now I will click on the overview tab. I will go to the custom task. See, this task one I will to link with the US based condition. So what I have to do, don't go anywhere, just click on this none over here. Once you click on this none, here you will select US based task condition. And immediately you will see the color has been changed for this particular task. See, it is appearing with the black overtone. What do you mean by a black overtone over here? Black overtone means this particular task is depending on a condition. That is why only it is appearing with a condition based task. So that means, like, it is appearing in a black background. Similarly, next task I will be putting on what? Europe based condition. So what I will do, I will click on none, and then I will click on Europe based task condition. Okay, so this is how you can link the condition with the custom task. Now, some of you might be asking, Manoj, why? Because as I said, your client requirement is like some user should go and check the sourcing project details, sourcing project data in details, and then mark the check as completed. Now this particular check is required in Europe. It is not required in US. So if you just put it in as a custom task and you put this particular condition, what will happen? It will be available all over the world for your client. So this is a faulty implementation. So always remember, custom task bounded to some condition. If client is saying this task is bounded with some condition, then you have to create those conditions over there and to link up those condition over here for the task. Once you do this, so if the region is equal to US, that means whenever as a user, end user, you're creating a sourcing project, there you will select the region, right? US. If you're selecting US, then what will happen? Custom task will one will appear, approval for event publish will appear, and review for team grading will appear. Custom task 2 will not be coming over there. But if somebody select region is equal to Europe, then what will happen? Custom task 2 will get triggered, approval for event publish will get triggered, review for team grading will get triggered. Okay. So this is how you can control the task. So when we started this particular session, guys, so most of you were thinking, hey, task is very small thing, right? Actually, if you go to the Ariba consultant and if you ask them, they will also think like task is a very small thing. But there are a lot of things which we can configure based upon some requirement. So these are the requirement, and in this particular requirement case only we are going to use it. And why I told these things? Condition based tasks, let's take for example, where you will use it in projects where your client is having presence across multiple geographies and they want to implement Ariba in multiple geographies. So then you should use the region based condition, and you have to link it with the custom task. So that is why, guys, to understand all the scenario, this particular task was quite heavy. Okay, still the document part is pending. That is also one of the heaviest part over here in what you can say in the sourcing project template configuration. So that we are going to see after the question answer session. So let us do one thing, guys. Let us take a very small break of 5 minutes. After that break, what we are going to do is like we are going to take a question answer session from all of you. Please write down all of your questions which you are having right now. Okay, after 5-6 minutes, we are going to take a question answer session. After the question answer session, we are going to have a look at the document configuration. Okay, guys. Yeah, thanks, guys. So let's take the break. Guys, are you able to hear me? Yeah. So guys, please raise your hand who is having a question. We are going to take your queries one by one. Yeah. Amit, can you please unmute yourself and ask your query?
Hey, hi, Manoj. So, Manoj, I was just asking this query regarding this custom task. So,
Yeah.
I've noticed the custom task, we do have a condition field where we can add based on reason, but I didn't find
Yeah.
any approvals field. For example, I want to create.
Yeah. It won't be there. So basically, if you want to add approval, so remember that is why I said custom tasks are generally always non-approval task. Okay. So if you need to customize the approval task once more, so what you need to do is like you need to copy the standard approval task and create your own custom approval task. Now there you can put condition and you can use it.
Okay, so in case if you want to create custom task with approval, we have to copy step.
Yeah, you have to copy the standard approval task. Then only it will work. Otherwise, if you create a custom task over there, it will always be a non-approval task.
Okay, because mostly we want to make sure certain group of people should get this custom task, so we might require custom
Yeah,
approval task.
so that is what I'm saying. Just copy from the standard approval task. Once you do it, what next you have to do is like you can put your condition over there, but you cannot put the condition in the standard approval task. So that is how those kinds of requirements we implement during our project part.
Okay. I'll try that. Thank you. That's all from my side. Thanks, Manoj.
Yeah, welcome, Amit. Yeah, guys, just a minute. I think Praveen is having some issue. Okay, no issues, Praveen. First of all, Praveen is okay. Praveen is asking some query. Asking for any transport. Okay, so basically he is asking like there is no concept of TR over here. Why it is so? Because in Ariba, guys, there is no concept of transport request. So whenever you do some changes in development, what you will do is like you will download all these things in CSV file format. Okay, and then those CSV file format will be downloaded from the especially development server, and then it will be uploaded back in the production server. Once it is uploaded, then all your changes will be moved from development to production. But remember, these things, mostly the Ariba consultant will say is like, uh, like you can do it like this. But the thing is like, we cannot start this job on our own. We will need Ariba's help over here. So what you need to do is like, you need to create a service request, and you have to start asking Ariba over here that I want to, uh, you know, move this TR from development to production over there. Please enable the task. So what they will do is like, they will enable the task. Then only those CSV files will be present for you to be downloaded. And once it is available, then you can download it from your development server, development system over there, and you can upload it into your production system. So that is how the concept of movement of configuration of changes happens in Ariba. It is not based on the transport request kind of thing. Is it clear, Praveen? Yeah, welcome, Praveen. Okay. Diksha, can you please go ahead with your query? Diksha, can you please unmute yourself and ask your query?
Yeah, Manoj, am I audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Okay. What I wanted to ask you that we have these database fields. So what about the field values in those fields? So are they from Ariba or are they as per the client?
No, see, the data is always, from the client side only. See, why? Because Ariba will never create your data by yourself. Why? Because ultimately data means you will either have master data or transactional data. So master data and transactional data are basically always client specific. So those things will not be provided by SAP Ariba. Master data, we have to load it or do a master data integration. For transactional data, we have to create those transactions, then only those data will get saved into the database.
So, for example, departments
Department is a
when we
master
were
data.
putting the conditions to which department should be there. That's
Okay,
master
okay,
data.
okay. So there is two things.
Okay.
First of all, when you are loading the department, this data will be also be given by your client. Whether you are having a marketing department, HR department, finance department, this will be given. So remember, department is a master data part which you have to load the data, but this data will be supplied by your client. That's the first thing. Second thing, now if you're asking that which department I will put in the template, now here, as I said before, that ask your client how many departments are there within your company. Okay, client will give you answer is 7 or 8, something like this. Then you will tell them, do you have the same process? That means same workflow, same task, same parameters for all the department. Some of them, most of them will be saying no, it will be different. So then what will happen is like, when you are copying the RFP, standard RFP template, and you are creating a custom RFP template, first one he will say for marketing department, and then he will choose the department as marketing. And here what he will put, all the marketing related configurations. Similarly, next one, once again, you will copy the standard template, not the custom template. From the standard template, you will create another custom template, and here you will put it as HR department. And there, what you will do, you will put all the HR specific configuration over there.
Okay. Okay, and my second question is, like we are looking at the template configuration for sourcing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, is there any configuration for, like the first thing we saw last weekend was the supplier request form. So, is there any configuration for Ariba consultants for that form also?
No. See, everything in upstream is having a template based thing. So not only sourcing template, for contract and other things also you are having the template. But generally SLP related thing, as I said, like this will involve a lot of comparison between SLP system and non-SLP system. Why? Because supply is part of your master data. So that is why I said that particular part of configurations and the mass data loads, we are going to cover it in our integration scenarios.
No, what I'm asking is when you fill the supplier request form, right? So the fields that were coming on that form, that is also can be configured in a using a template by consultants.
Yeah. There is a template for that also.
Yeah, okay. Like you are showing us this template for configuration. There is a template for that also.
Yeah,
Which can
everything
be configured.
that is what I said. Like in everything in upstream, there is a template. For everything in upstream, there will be a template, and you have to do the changes. But those changes in SLP are a little bit different. Why? Because those things are related mostly to the questionnaires over there.
Okay.
But here in sourcing project, you will find questionnaires. There is no questionnaires over here, right? Here we will have the task. Here we will have the different bidding rules, different conditions. All of those things we will be setting up. So that is how SLP configuration is very different from sourcing and contract configuration.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Diksha. Just a minute, guys. Yeah, Ramarao, can you please go ahead with your query? Guys, are you able to hear me? Yeah. Ramarao, we are not able to hear you. No, Ramarao, you are not audible over here at all. I think there is some problem with your mic. Why? Because it is appearing unmuted over here, but still I think there is some issue. Okay, do one thing, Ramarao. Like, whatever queries you are having, you just type into the chat box. I will read those queries and then I will answer them. Okay. If any changes is required in template, is it enhancement? No, Ramarao. This is not a enhancement request at all. This is a configurable option, which as a Ariba functional consultant, we will do it only. Okay. Any other queries you can ask me, or basically you can type in over here, Ramarao. Yeah. Thanks, Ramarao. Definitely. Please do. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Saurav, can you please go ahead with the query?
Can you hear me, Manoj?
Yeah, Saurav. Yeah, Saurav, we are able to hear you.
Yeah. Quick question. Coming back to that same transport thing, right? So basically, when we make any customization or any kind of a activity that you do with respect to configuration and all, so I know that basically we create an SR, right? So, but how do we basically where is that path where we have to download this particular configuration? Because we could have been making a configuration in RFP. We could have been making a configuration in SLP. Right?
So sort of on this part, generally, there will be no navigation path for us. What will happen is like SAP Ariba support team will enable this feature. And what we have to do is like we have to come to this particular screen only. And within this action tab, there will be a thing called as CSV download option, which will be appearing. Until unless they perform that activity, actually, what is that activity? Even we don't have that access. We don't have the authorization for doing that. Only SAP Ariba support team is having that. So they will be doing that particular activity. Once the activity has been done, then only that particular feature is going to come. So you don't have to go to any other navigation path. In this template only you can come and you click on the action, automatically that particular version or the option over there will be coming, that download CSV file. Through that you have to download it, and same thing they will do it in the production. Otherwise in the production also there is no option will be coming from upload through CSV.
But we have to give them the file, right? In order for them to.
No.
Okay,
We don't have to give the file. Actually, only thing is like you have to create a service request saying, please enable the configuration changes movement from development to production. That's it. Once they will enable the feature, then it will be available directly in your development as well as in production system too.
So in that case, they will have this realm, some kind of a unique ID there. How do they identify that?
Definitely. The thing is like they will see, they will have the RAM ID with them, but generally how they will identify itself is like whenever you're going into the connect.ariba.com and clicking on service request, remember you cannot use your personal ID. Okay, so you have to use customer's ID over there. So you have to select who is the customer. So from looking at the customer field only, Ariba can understand, okay, they're talking about this particular customer. And once you click on that particular customer, they will have the different RIAMs ID and all those things which we are not able to see it. So they will be coming back with the query. So let's say you're having 2 Ariba system. So in that scenario, they will ask which Ariba system you want. Please specify.
I see. So one more question here, Manoj. So basically, we are still in our upstream right now, right? Because contract compliance is where we start with.
No. Actually, sort of, this is going to take some more time. Why? Because tomorrow we are going to begin with our contract process, only process flow. Next week, we are going to see the contract template configuration. Then we are going to go into the contract compliance. So contract compliance is actually not fully downstream. Fully downstream means you will start with the catalogs and all those stuff. So that is yet, that is going to take some more time. Why? Because if you don't know the full process of upstream, then directly jumping to downstream part won't help at all.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and one last question here, Manoj. So basically, you see, that, right? Like the response time from the Ariba people.
Yeah.
So question comes here, right? So say we are, basically implementing SLP or RFP, right? So we have a project timeline of about 3 months, correct? And now we make these changes in the very first month and do our UAT. And also we know that we only have one instance to do our testing.
So first of all, you tell me whether you are doing a Ariba Snap implementation or normal Ariba implementation.
Normal Ariba implementation, SLP.
Okay, so I think you have to stretch that 3 months to somewhere around 5 months.
Right? Yeah, that's what I was coming from. So if we have to move these changes, when should we create the ticket for them?
See, the thing is like that is not real time. Means like the duration which you told over there, it is not real time. Why? Because generally, if you look at full upstream implementation, that will take somewhere around 7 to 8 months. Okay, why? Because I think all of you know that Ariba is implemented through the use of agile methodology. Agile methodology means there will be recursive recursive process testing and process configuration. That means the first time when you will do it, you will do all this stuff. Second time, what you will do is like you will test this particular process, you will configure this process, and then you will integrate the process. So that means basically you are doing twice. So what will happen? So time will take more. So generally what will happen is like generally the guys from the pre-sales, they will say, oh, okay, one time only it is needed. They will still think that we are still following ASAP methodology over here. So that is why the issue comes. So they will give a requirement like, okay, 6 months we can do full upstream and downstream. Then you will see at the end of the day it is taking 1 year, 2 months.
Okay, because the question is coming here, right? So because we are not fully using the upstream piece right now, we are only concentrating on the SLP part of it. So in that case,
still it is going to take at least 5 months, not only from our side. Why? Because sometimes you have to do the integration, sometimes you have to load the data, then development system you're doing. Once you've done this thing, you will go for the UAT. After the UAT, again, client will come back with some more changes required. That also you have to do it. Then again, 2 cycle you have to run. Then second UAT will run. Then after you will go into the data cutover periods.
Yeah,
Just
because we have to plan their timelines, right? And my question will be again coming back to this point. So say 3 months or 5 months, whatsoever, what
Yeah.
time we should basically create a
And
ticket for this or
okay, SR, I will suggest not only to you, Saurav, but for everybody. Please, guys, remember, don't put the SR at the end of your timelines. Why? Because it will get screwed.
Hmm.
Why? Because from my experience, we have created very high tickets.
Oh, I see.
2 days is the SLA. Our
Yeah.
issue got resolved after 10 days.
Okay,
That is for very high. Forget about the medium and high.
I see. I see.
Because these things will happen. Why? Because what is happening is like Ariba's team, they are increasing it at a time. Means like they're not increasing it fully. And there is a boom right now in the market. A lot of clients are coming up with Ariba implementation. So what is happening is like Ariba strength, let us take for example 100 consultants are there. Right now they have increased to 150. Client have risen, rise from, let's say 1,000 clients was there at present. Right now it is 5,000. So what is happening? The proportion is not in scale, so that is why it will always get delayed, your SR or ER. So basically what you need to do is like at the beginning of your project you have to list down which are the SRs which you have to create. Generally SR will be required for some activation, business functions activation and features. That is the first SR. Second SR is for transportation. Okay. Third SR is for like some of the other things like data loads and all those stuff. For that
Right.
also you will need one SR. So these 3 SR you have to create at the time of when you're getting the access at that time only you have to create this thing.
Because down the line we are planning for a P2P also, right? So in that case, we have to create this separately for per particular module, like SLP separately.
Yeah. So basically until and unless your customer has buy the P2P, that particular option will not come within your service request. Why? Because in the service request you have to select what is the Ariba solution. Whether you are working, raising this ticket for SLP, sourcing, contracting, P2P. So all those things will be coming when your client has done a contract or signed the contract with Ariba. So if your client has only signed the contract for SLP, SLP will be available. But once they sign the contract for P2P, then only P2P will be available.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Manoj.
Yeah. Welcome, Saurabh. So, couple of very good questions, Saurabh has raised over here. So keep this thing in mind, guys. Why? Because those are realistic things. Why? Because I have seen many participants are saying, hey, sir, they are the least. What do you think? Why? Because we will raise it and within 5 days we will get the resolution. No, it's not like that, guys. These things are the first things which you have to do.
Yeah, that's all my questions, Manoj. Thank you much.
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh. Okay. Shravan, can you please go ahead with your query?
Hi, Manoj. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Shravan.
Yeah. We understand the approval process, and I see another option called auto approval. What happens if I choose that?
If you choose the auto approval, then what will happen is like, the approval will not be required at all. That means without approval, it will get published, the RFP will get published.
So we don't need to choose the approvers from the list, from the available list.
Yeah. So basically, you have to always click on auto approval is good to know. Otherwise, whatever configuration you are doing, it will never take place while you are creating RFP. So that is why I said allow auto approval should be no and required should be yes always whenever you're doing this configuration.
Yeah, correct. And whatever we creating this template, right?
Yeah.
So SAP Ariba team will download this and upload in the production system. Right?
No, not always. I think you are if you're working with some of the client, because some of the clients what they will do is like they will sign a exclusive contract with Ariba saying whatever changes are there in development, you just move it to production. I don't want my service implementation partner team to do this thing. Why? Because lot of work is needed to be done over there. So to avoid that thing, generally what will happen is like some client will say, hey, I don't want, let's say Accenture wants to implement it, or maybe Deloitte wants to implement this thing. So I don't want Accenture or Deloitte to do, move this transport request from development to production. Keep this thing to yourself. For that, we are going to, let's say, we are going to pay you more, 10,000 USD more for that. So it always depends upon the contract which is signed between Ariba and client. If it is there, they will do it. Otherwise, they are not going to do it. They are just going to activate a feature. Then we have to do it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, Shravan. Yeah. Spandana, can you please go ahead with your query?
Hi, Manoj.
Yeah. Hello, Spandana.
Hi. So I have one basic question. So when we choose the approvals, so we you said we can choose n number of levels of approvals, right?
Exactly. Now here there is a catch. Here there is a catch means like, see, so if you want to, let's say you want to go from Delhi to Mumbai, okay, so you can go by flight, you can go by rail, or you can take your car. Okay, so you can optionally means like theoretically you can take either of these three things, but if you do the calculation for finance thing related to the cost of the journey, the cost of the journey in car will be much more compared to the rail or the flight over there. So in theoretical, you can select any of these three, but in practically, you will either choose the flight or the train. So that's the thing. So yes, you can have n number of approvals, but as I said, like how much processing power you're buying from SAP Ariba, that means your client, that will also come into the picture. If you have taken a transaction levels of, let's say, 1,000 documents per year, the processing power will be less. And if you put 15 approvals over there, what will happen? The system will face performance issue. But if you have said to the, you've signed a contract, that means as a client, you've signed a contract with Ariba saying, I will create 10,000 documents each year. So you will be receiving much more processing power in that case. So in that scenario, if you put 10 or 15 approvals, then there will be no issues on the performance. So always remember, technically, for for your practice, or for your demo kind of thing or POC kind of thing, for showing that to the client, you can say n number of things, but in real time there is always a cost of performance. So if your performance is higher, then this can be selected. If the performance is not higher, then it cannot be selected.
Okay. Okay, but okay, that's fine. So, but my question is like, we have like ad hoc approvers also, right?
Yeah, ad hoc approvals is also there.
So, will we be customizing that, or how will it work?
No, you don't need to customize it. So basically, the end user can just go and they can just add a ad hoc approver anywhere. Only thing is like they have to select a role. They cannot select a user over there. So that will be available to all the end user. Basically, if you're having the sourcing agent role, you can create this RFP and all those stuff. So if you're having that role, you can add a ad hoc approver, but you cannot configure this thing within your approval process. Why? Because ad hoc approver is a standard feature in SAP Ariba.
Okay. So you said that they just have to choose that role in order to add the ad hoc approver.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, fine. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, Spandana. Just a moment. Tanmay, you are having some query?
No, Manoj. I had a query, but it was resolved.
Okay. So no issues, guys. If you are having any queries, you can raise your hand, and if you want further clarification also, I will be clarifying to all of you. Same goes for you to Tanmay.
Yeah, so Manoj, just a small query. As you know, there is a customization, which is a user settings in any SAP system, ECC or S4HANA. So
Yeah.
wherein you can, make the numbers or any numerical values for each field appear in front of them. So I was just wondering if we can do the same for the tasks, like the 0001, that can we make it to appear here in the template view, or we'll have to go inside and check the details for each task?
No, you cannot, select it like that. Why? Because it is
Okay,
not
okay,
configurable.
okay.
The only thing is like you have to go inside and check what is the,
Okay.
numbering range there.
Yeah, okay, Manoj, got it.
Yeah. Thanks, Tanmay. Yeah, Venkatesh, can you please go ahead with your query?
Manoj, when you are saying about approval through external system, so actually I missed that one. Can you tell me how it works?
So you're talking about custom task.
Yeah, custom task. But your standard task also we can have approval from external system, right?
Okay, so first of all, Venkatesh, what you can see is like, you need to understand that in the standard task case, you can have n number of approvals, but it's the same. You cannot put condition over there. The thing is like in normal projects, yes, you can use that. But in some projects, in complex project, they might ask you that the approval task can be different. Let's say within the HR department also, client is saying that in India, we follow a certain approval flow, but in EOS, we will follow another flow. So in that scenario, what you need to do is like you need to copy this approval for event publish task and create a custom task of yours. Now there you can put another conditions like, let's say like US based approval. There you will put the US based approval, and then another task, same approval for event publish, you will create another custom approval task over there and say approval for HR India. Now you will create two condition, US based condition, India based condition, and you are going to add to the two of the custom approval task. Then only it will work properly. But remember, within a custom task, you cannot have approval. Normal custom task. Why? Because if you create a normal custom task over there, Ariba generally will give you a non-approval custom task.
Manoj, my question is approval from another system. That's what.
Okay. Okay, I think I got it wrong. So yeah, approval from another system. See, you cannot use it directly over here in SAP Ariba by just clicking on external approval over there. So what you need to do is you need to click, create a template over there, separate template, external approval template, and within that approval task, you have to click on yes, external approval system approval, yes, and you need to ask your client to buy the API license from SAP Ariba. Once the API license is bought by your client, then you need to catch hold of a Java developer. That Java developer will put all the logic where within the APIs. Now, let's say you want to have 3 levels of approval. Who are the different approvals you want to set it over there. All those coding has to be done within the API. Then what will happen is like once you try to publish the RFP over here, approval will not happen in Ariba. Approval will happen where? Approval will happen in your S/4HANA system or any ECC system. Once the approval has been done, then the result will come back over here. That is how the things will work. But your client need to buy the license for Ariba APIs. That's the first thing. And you will need one Java developer.
Okay, Manoj, got it. Thanks.
Yeah. So always remember, Venkatesh, like for this, you don't need to create a custom task, but you need to create a separate template. Not within the same template you cannot use. Within the same template, you cannot use the approval for external or external system approval. You cannot do it. So you can say like RFP general external approval template like this you can create, and there what you have to do is like within the standard task only you have to select external system approval, and then the APIs has to be installed. Then it will work for that particular template only.
Okay, so you are saying that in this case, you need to create a separate template itself.
Exactly. Otherwise, what will happen is like, see, otherwise, what will happen is like, it will affect all the other RFP. Why? Because most of the client will say, okay, sir, HANA or in ECC. Rest of the cases it should happen locally in Ariba. So if you use this within a normal template, what will happen is like all the approval tasks will be going to your S4 HANA or your ECC system.
Can we put a condition for this case instead of going for the template?
Definitely. Over there, yes, you can put a condition. Over there, you copy the standard task into a custom task. Okay, it has to be a separate template.
Template, instead of going for template, can we put a conditions?
No. Why? Because see, first of all, there is only one standard task only, and within the standard task, if you put a condition, what will happen if the condition is getting failed?
No, I'm going to create a custom task. I'm going to create a custom task by copying the standard approval task.
Yes, you can do that, but then again, why you want to do two of the task over here? Because see, when you are going to use custom task, when your region specific approval is required. Now, if region specific approval is not required over here, then I will suggest create a separate template. But yes, if you want to do it, you can do it. But then again, what will happen is like there will be a system issue, system compatibility issue. When the standard task will get triggered, how it will work, and the custom task when it will get triggered, over there will be a collision. So that is why whenever we will work with the external approval system, we'll always use the external template, means like separate template, and this template we will do what? We will include within our coding also. Why? Because if you see each of this particular template which we have created, it is having one ID, right? This particular ID we have to give it to the Java developer. So that is why if we want to do this implementation of an external approval system, we will create a separate template and give that particular ID.
Okay, got it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, welcome, Gitesh. Okay, I think, yeah, Amit, you're having any query?
Yes, Manoj. So actually, I was trying to find option to copy custom task, but I couldn't find it. Could you please, sorry, standard task. So could you please tell to?
I think for that you need to have a template manager role. I think for that you need to have a template manager role. That is a super admin role. Okay. Let me check over there. Let me check with my delivery manager whether that particular role can be given or not. Why? Because generally there is a what will happen is like we will be getting some what do you say instruction from our delivery manager that super admin role should not be shared with the participants. Admin role we can share with them. So that is why all of your IDs are having the template user and template editor. Basically, template creator and template editor role, both of these two roles are present, but template manager role is not present. So let me just have a talk with my delivery manager, and I will come back to you.
Okay, no problem. And so when I was exploring this option, I found three tasks. So I think we have created two tasks, but apart from that, we have phase task and notification task. So in notification task, I found option to add approval, and as the name suggests, it's actually just to notify the group of user that this particular task has been generated. But that in within the task, you have option to make it compulsory. Like if you want to convert notification.
First of all, see, like whether you want to add a approval task or you want to just add a notification item. What is your requirement first?
Right. So I just want to know, can we make a notification item as approval task? Because I can see that option within that.
No, generally you don't need to do it over there. Why? Because first of all, you can see for every standard approval task, you will have notification over there. If you scroll down a little bit lower down, you can find out the notification. Okay, automatically who is the team member, notification will get triggered to them. That's the first thing. Even reminder mail can be fetched up over there. Okay?
Right.
That's the first thing.
Right.
And the second thing is like generally when we want to customize the standard approval task, what we do is like we copy from the standard approval task and we create our own custom things. Otherwise, what will happen is like you will not get the full feature of approval within the notification task. So that is why we don't generally use the notification task over here.
Okay, okay, I see. Because when I was exploring this task option, I created a notification task, and within that, there's option to make it mandatory. So I thought in that way, if I want to create custom task with approval, I can use notification task. So I just want to check with you.
No, it will not work over there. Why? Because see, they will send a notification, but users need to approve it. But a notification will go, a task has been created on your name. And when they will go into the sourcing project, there will be no approve or reject. There will be only one option, mark complete. That particular functionality will come over there. So once you click on mark complete, what will happen is like, it is completed. There is no way you can reject that particular task. So that is why if you always want to customize, means like you want to have multiple approval tasks over there, always copy from a standard approval task.
Got it, got it. Thanks, Manoj. Coming to the next question, phase task, Manoj, by the way?
Huh?
Phase task, I found another task, phase.
Okay, so phase task is generally what generally happens is like, as I said, those are generally used in your those project, full sourcing project. Generally over there you don't have a different task. Why? Because you will have RFI, RFP and auction in one project only. So RFI task will be appearing in phase 1 task. So it will be coming as RFI phase 1 task. Within that, all the RFI tasks will be listed. Similarly, the second phase task will be RFP phase task. So within that, what will happen is like you will get only the RFP task. Same thing is like within the auction. So auction, third level event, it will be there, and then the task will be there. So that is how the phase task is defined. But phase task is generally used in your full sourcing project.
Okay, so when we want to group by a particular phase, we can use phase task and we can.
Exactly. Similarly, here also, if you want to group like custom task and standard task, so what he will do, you will create a phase task with all custom tasks. Within that, what he will do, he will put all the custom tasks. Similarly, he will put another task like standard task, and within that, he will put approval for event publish and review for team ready. But here, remember, this is not much of use. Why? Because that is only for your convenience within the template. But when this particular template will be triggered along with this task, those phase tasks will not be visible to the end user.
Okay, I see. That is just for tracking purpose from.
Yeah, in this quick project, that is only for your what you can say, for the administrator, what you can say, suitability. We will do it. But in full task project, there is no other option, apart from using that particular phase. Why? Because there we are having 3 processes in between.
All right. And last question is, what is open event within task? So when you click on drop down button within task, there's an open event.
Open event means not over here, right? Within the sourcing project.
Within task also, when I click on drop down button, there was an option like open event.
Here also it was coming.
Yes.
Okay. This one.
Yes.
Okay. Just a moment. Okay, so basically what is this? This is nothing but your documents over here, document configuration. So we are going to see that after our question answer session only, we are going to see that. But generally, open event, when somebody says over there, generally what does it mean is like within the RFP sourcing project, let's say you have done the opening. Just before opening, you decide that some of the supply is having some issue. Okay, and you want to reopen the RFP. How you can do that? Then there is an option called as open event over there. If you click on that action and open event, then what will happen? Ariba will once again ask you what is the end date, response end date. You have to give a response, a revised response end date, and you have to click on OK. Once again, what will happen? The RFP will open up for the supplier to change it. So I was thinking about that particular open event only.
Okay. I see.
Okay. So this is basically the different configuration which we have to do at a documents level and nothing else.
All right, Manoj, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Amit. And event, generally, guys, always remember when we are talking about event means just a moment. Let me just exit from here. Event generally means in sourcing project terms, when we're talking about event means RFP, RFI, and auction. Same event, even you can see it in the sourcing project creation screen. So if something within the template is coming based on the event, so always understand event means it is individually referring to the process which you are following. So here generally what we are following, event, this is our event, RFP. So if you want to customize or configure RFP processes over there, see, tasks are all related to the task and activities part. You can configure these RFP events where within this particular document. So after this particular question answer session only, we are going to see these particular documents. So there are also a lot of tasks will be there. Not task actually, configuration options. Okay. Yeah. Diksha, you are having any query?
Yes, Manoj. Regarding last time you said that we can do it through configuration template, starting with an RFI, then an RFP,
RFI and RFP, that is for the sourcing project, right?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, full sourcing project. RFI, then RFP, then auction over there. Okay, this is not a sourcing project. Full sourcing project is generally not used in any implementation. Why? Because the minimum time required for doing this particular stuff is at least 2 months. That is the minimum time. Why? Because you cannot evade neither the RFI nor the RFP nor the auction. So in all implementation, you're going to get a quick project only. And within the quick project, within RFP only, everything has to be done. So that is why we put more importance in the RFP part over here. Rest of the configurations options over here, same will be there for RFI as well as for auction also. It won't change. Same task concept will be there, same document things will be there. It's just like a approval workflow. So when we will go to the downstream approval workflow, there I will tell you about the PR workflow. Then what will happen is like participant will come and say, Manoj, what about the invoice workflow? What about the PO workflow? What about the invoice reconciliation workflow? Then the thing is like it is the same thing over there, guys, with same options and same configuration options. The approver over there will be getting a little bit changed. Okay, so that is from the client side, but from our side, whatever we have seen over here, same thing goes for RFI as well as auction too.
Okay, you said that if the event type is chosen is RFP, but the client wants the functionality of RFI as well.
Okay, so basically, as I said over here, RFI, RFP, auction, these three are three separate events where it is sourcing quick project, right? So within the quick project, if client is asking you implement RFP, so you have to implement the RFP event type over here only. But if your client is saying RFI, select RFI, then what you will do, instead of selecting request for proposal template, you will select request for information template and you will copy it from there instead of copying it from RFP. Okay, so let me just show you. I think it is still a little bit confusing for all of you. Let me just show you. See where we copied all this particular thing. Just a moment. We copied it from here, right? Request for proposal, Ariba system, right? Similarly, if you want to configure your request for information over there, what you have to do? You have to go over here. See this request for information, Ariba system is the owner. Click on this one and you click on copy. Once you click on copy, what will happen? Your custom request for information template is there, but within that particular template, it will be same as that of this particular template which we were doing. Okay, from a template options perspective, it is same over there, but this is how you will create your own RFI custom template. That's the only difference between RFP and RFI.
No, that I understood. I think last time you mentioned something about that sometimes the client says that they have chosen RFP as the event type, but they also want RFI in that.
Okay.
Yeah, that
okay.
Actually, will you be showing it today?
Yeah, today actually it won't be there. So that particular thing tomorrow, first thing we are going to have a look at that particular line item type. Then we are going to start with our contract.
Okay, fine.
Okay?
That is my question. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that will be there. See, that is already there within our template configuration. So I was thinking like whether you want to know where to do go and check this RFI template. So I was thinking about that.
No,
Okay.
I was asking
That
for
thing, yeah,
yeah. Okay.
that will there. See, for that particular thing, you need to click on documents. See, documents is the next anyway. Document is the next thing which we have to see. Click on edit. Once you click on edit, there is a thing which will be coming that is called as the content over here. And within this particular content here, we will see this thing. So today we will not see content. Today we will see the rules over here. Tomorrow morning, first thing first, we are going to see the content. Then we are going to begin with our contract process.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Manoj.
Yeah. Welcome, Diksha. Okay. So guys, what is the concept of documents over here and why it is very important? Because if you want to change out the process over here, where you can change it? Of the RFP, you can. So lot of things generally are not used over here, but some of them are very, very important. Now, first of all, when we started this particular process, we said we need some changes or we need some basic things to start our sourcing project. What was that? Basically, I told, right, that when you will be beginning with the sourcing project, your supply status must be what? Registered, right? Otherwise, if it is not registered, you cannot begin the work. Why? Because of these two configuration over here. Okay, so the first configuration which we are doing, minimum supply status for event participant, here we will click on registered. Similarly, minimum supply status for award eligibility, we will click on registered. Okay, why do you think that these are the things which will be required? Or where it will be required? So first of all, remember minimum supply status for event participation. Now event over here is RFP. So system is asking you that, boss, if any supplier who is going to be added in your RFP within the sourcing project, where they are going to get added. Okay, obviously it is in the RFP sourcing project, but what should be the status? So here, if you have given registered status, then what will happen? If any supplier who is not having registered status in SLP, you try to add them over there, what will happen? System will immediately throw up an error. That is the most important point. So as I said before, that it has to be configured. This system can be configured over here, that whether we can put it as registered or not invited and all those stuff, where here only you can configure. So as a part of your configuration, if you are having SLP, then only this supplier eligibility criteria configuration which you're seeing over here will appear. So first of all, always remember, whenever you're going for implementation, if your client is not having SLP, don't think like why supplier eligibility criteria is not coming, because it will not come. It will only come when you will have an SLP system with you. That's the first thing. Second thing, what is the best practices to be put over here according to SAP Ariba? Both of this option which we have selected over here has to be selected as registered. So what do we mean by registered over here? Registered means any supplier you're going to add in the sourcing project must have registered status in SLP. Otherwise, they cannot be done. Okay. Once you have done this thing, what is the second condition which you're seeing over here? Minimum supply status for award eligibility. Now, few of the participants generally ask me, Manoj, why I cannot put qualification qualified over here? Because when you will change the status of the SLP to qualified, guys, When you will do it? After the awarding, right? Not before the awarding. Okay. So that is why when you're going to do the awarding, still the supplier status in SLP will be registered. So that is why both of this option has to be put as registered. Okay. Don't change the supplier qualification level and don't select this preferred supplier. Why? Because automatically invite preferred supplier. This is generally used in where if you're doing a Ariba Snap implementation. Why? Because in the Ariba Snap implementation, you will totally change the process. In the Ariba Snap implementation, no, you cannot select new supplier. Supplier will automatically come over there with a new sourcing project. How? All the preferred supplier will come over there. So if you are implementing Ariba Snap, then only you will select this option as yes, else don't change this thing as well as this thing too. Both of these two things will be used when you are using Ariba Snap, not before that. Okay. Next is the envelope rules. Now, what do you mean by envelope rules? Now, I think most of you will be thinking about I think people who are from the government project background, if they want to implement SAP Ariba for the sourcing, then envelope rules is for them. For private sector, it is not needed, but for government sector, this is required. Why? Because as I said before, what is the concept of envelope? Envelope is like, just forget about Ariba for the time being. Envelope means what? You will keep some document within that envelope so that not everybody can see what is the content of that document. Similarly, over here, if you click on this option as yes over here, system will ask you how many envelope. Generally, we can create 9 envelope, but 1 or 2 envelope is more than enough. Why this particular envelope will be used? In this particular electronic envelope, as a sourcing administrator, you can take all the responses from the supplier and you can put it over here. And you can log that particular envelope. So what will happen over there, guys? You will know, means nobody would be able to see what is the price response from the supplier until unless you open that particular envelope. Now this is one of the major requirements in a government project. Basically, if you look at the Middle East or big countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and the Middle East, their government sector or PSU sector industry who is implementing Ariba, they want this particular feature. So then what you have to do, you have to click on yes. Number of envelopes, at minimum it can be 1, at most it can be 2, not more than 2 is required. You will just select this particular team, click on search move, and here you have to put the administrator, don't put anything else. Click on done, and what will happen is like, then you have to give all these 3 options. So first of all, keep the rejected envelope bits. Now always this option will be no. Why? Because before accepting or rejecting the bid, you have to open the envelope, right? So that is why this particular option is always no. Why? Because after rejecting, then everybody can see the price. There is no issue. After accepting also, everybody can see the price. But before accepting or rejecting, the price should not be viable to anybody else. So that is why we use envelope. Second thing is like discard bids for event updating. Event updating means what? That means, let's say, a scenario. I will tell you a scenario. Your supplier has given their bids. Okay, 5 suppliers there, 4 suppliers given their bid, and you have put it within an envelope. Now the 5th supplier is having very less time, and that particular supplier request that, guys, I'm having very less time, please extend the timelines. Then what will happen? The 5th supplier will give in that particular response, and that particular response will come back to the where? To the Ariba spend management. So that particular thing is needed to be put into the envelope. That's the first thing. Second thing is like, excuse me, guys. Second thing is like, in between all these 4 responses which has been kept within the envelope, somebody changes it, which bit to discard, means which response to discard, which response to keep, system is asking you over here. Okay, so you can say over here that if there is any updation of the response after the response has been paid within the put within the envelope, so here you can say keep the bits. That means the response will not get updated, or you can discard the bits. That means automatically it will get out of the envelope, and once again you have to take that particular bit response and you have to put it within the envelope. Generally, always discard is the option which we select. Why? Otherwise, if a supplier create a version 2 of the response, version 1 will be saved within the envelope, and that is a wrong version. So that is why this option always discard is selected over here. Okay, and this particular option said notification to envelope openers. This should always be selected as yes. Why? Because if some of your colleague knows your password, then what will happen? They would be able to log in and they would be able to see all this particular thing. So that is why send notification to envelope opener. So what will happen is, like, let's say my ID is having this authorization. What I will do, I will put my user ID password over there and the envelope will be closed. Now my password and user ID is known to another one of my colleague. So that particular colleague can go once again see, or they can open the envelope also. So if somebody has viewed these things and edited something or opened the envelope, automatically a notification will go to your email ID saying this has been changed. So if you have done it, no issues. If you have not done it, then please go and check in the system. Okay, so that's the meaning of envelope over here. Next is the concept of timing rules. So timing rules, basically, as I said before, is regarding the times. So generally, what are the times we select over here? Generally, the response start date, due date means response end date. So you will see all of this particular configuration over here is selected as hidden. Why this response start date and due date is delegated over here, guys? Can any of you take a guess? Because this particular thing should not be configured by us. Who should configure this thing? The end user. Where? Within your sourcing project. So that is why this has to be delegated. And once you click on delegated over here, sorry. Yeah. Once you click on delegated over here, what will happen? You should not put anything over here. The end user will be able to put this value. And remember, guys, whenever you are seeing any kind of date in this particular configuration, don't give it. Always select delegated. Why? Because dates and all those stuff, we should not be declaring it within our template. The end user should be declaring it. Where? Within their sourcing project. Okay. Now, another thing is there, enable preview period before bidding opens. Always select this option as yes. Why? Let's say right now it is 10:54 a.m. in India, and you have given the response start date as 11 a.m. but you have published your RFP. What will happen? The RFP will be shown to the supplier in Ariba network, but in preview period concept. Why? Because supplier can see the RFP, but they cannot create the response till 11 o'clock. So that is the concept of preview period. So always select this option as yes. Never ever select this option as no. Otherwise, what will happen? Till 11 o'clock, supplier won't be able to see the RFP at all. Okay. Now, there's another thing which you can see over here, that is allow bidding overtime. What is the concept of allow bidding overtime over here, guys? So you can understand that, as I said, generally, if some supplier is calling to you, let's say you're the end user who have published the RFP to extend the deadline, what he will do always? He will manually change the or extend the deadline and he will publish the RFP, right? What's the issue over here? For any small change in date and other stuff, 3 levels of approval is required once again. So let's say your end user, your supplier is saying, I want only 2 days of extension, and you extend the deadline and then you click on publish. So 1 day will be at least taken for the approval. What will happen? Tomorrow, the RFP will be published, but supplier will be saying, hey, I wanted 2 days. You have given me only 1 day. But from your side, as an end user, you have given 2 days. 1 day has went into approval. So what will happen? Unnecessary delay. So this was one of the most worst feature in your SAP MM and SAP SRM. Now Ariba has found a way around to automate this particular procedure. How this particular procedure can be automated? If you want to do the automation, you have to click on this option as yes. Allow bidding over time has to be selected as yes. Now system will ask you, okay, if you want to automatically extend the deadline by how many minutes, you can give over here. So that is why you can see the overtime period. Overtime period means what? The extension of deadline by how many minutes. Generally, when we configure this thing, we put this thing as somewhere around 12, something into 10 into the 600 minutes, something into the range of 600 minutes. Why? Because always remember this thing, that whenever your requirement is coming over there, requirement will be coming in 2 phases. Why? Because you will see this extension of deadline will based on 2 parameter. It will be based on 2 parameter. For one parameter, it should be 600. For the next parameter, they should be not put more than 60. So that is why always remember which parameter you are selecting. Based on that, your extended deadline should be put over here. You should not tell that Manoj, extension is generally 60 or 600. It will be either 60 or 600 depending upon the condition. So what should be the condition when we will put 60 minutes over here as the overtime? This condition. So let's say right now the time is 10:55 a.m. Think about it. The time is 10:55 a.m. right now, and 11 o'clock is the submission deadline. Now one supplier comes in, fill up the bid response, and he submits it right now. If he submits his bid right now, what will happen? It is within 5 minutes. Then automatically overtime period, that means extension of deadline, will happen over here. So you have to put over here always 60 minutes. Why not 600 minutes? Why not 10 hours? Why 1 hour? Can any of you take a guess? Why there's a difference between 1 hour and 10 hour? As I said, for 1 hour, you have to select the start overtime if bid submitted within minutes. Why not for this bid rank that triggers overtime? Can anybody take a guess over here, guys? Okay, let me explain once more. So I think most of you are able to understand this particular scenario, right? I think this particular scenario you understood, right, guys? The start overtime if bid submitted within 5 minutes. Can you please confirm, guys? Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation, guys. Now, the second condition is bid ranks that trigger overtime. Now, let's say ARAJ has given a quotation of 100 USD. Okay. And I have given a quotation of 95 USD. So previously, who was the L1? ARAJ, right? But since I have given lower quotation than ARAJ, I will become the L1 over here, right? So what is happening over here? First, the bid rank was ARAJ. Now the bid rank has changed from ARAJ to Manoj. So what is happening? Bid rank change is happening. So since we have given rank 1 as the bid rank, based upon which the overtime period will get selected. Now here, the overtime period will get triggered and you should put 600. Why? Because once the L1 changes over here, guys, so as per all the big companies procurement policy, you have to give 600 or basically 10 hours. Why? Because all the other supplier will totally change their pricing and all other terms and condition. That is why you have to give 10 hours. So always remember, these are mutually exclusive of each other. So if you give this bid ranks that trigger overtime as 1 over here, this particular option you have to keep it as 0 minute. That means you are saying within 0 minute, if somebody submits the bid, then only do it, which will not happen. So always remember, either this parameter can be implemented or this parameter can be implemented. And if you want to implement both of these things, then it will not happen. Okay. So always remember this thing. So if this bid rank that triggered overtime 1 is selected, this has to be selected as 0. This has to be put as 600. Okay. And if you are saying in the last 30 minutes, somebody is submitting the bid, then you keep this thing as 600 and here you should keep it as 0. Why? Because to make sure that this parameter is only get selected, this parameter should not get selected. Okay, so that is why, guys, you will see Ariba is giving you option to change the bid rank. Ariba is also giving you option to change the within submitted minute option over here. Why? Because both of the options over here are mutually exclusive of each other. And what is the what is the importance of this particular configuration? Because this configuration can manualize your process. That's the, sorry, automate your process. That's the first thing. And second thing is like from version 2 onwards, if there is no major changes, mostly the changes will be regarding the extension only. For extension, you have automated the process. That means 60 to 70% of the scenario, once the RFP is published, the project owner, the RFP creator will go when over there at the time of awarding only. They don't need to visit it. And for the rest of the 30% to 35% of the RFP, there is a major requirement changes. So that you cannot automate it, right? That you cannot automate it. So that is why I said Ariba has done this automation over here at a time of process configuration. If you remember that extension of time period can also be done automatically, but based upon some condition. These are the two conditions which are mutually exclusive of each other. Okay, so remember this thing. If one parameter has been selected, the second parameter has to be made null. If the first parameter has been selected, second parameter also has to be made null. Then only it will work properly. Okay. Next is the bidding rules. Now, out of this bidding rule, guys, always remember bid Gaussian percentage. This is always a very important thing and you should always do it. Why? Because let's say you have given the target price or the initial price like $1 million. Supplier wanted to give at 900,000 or 9 lakh USD. By mistake, supplier forgets to add another zero and mention 90,000 USD. Supplier will become L1. Tender will be awarded or sourcing project will be awarded to that supplier. And then supplier will say, hey, I wanted to give 9 lakh or 900,000 USD. Why it is showing 90,000? It's a wrong thing. So what will happen? You have to scrap that particular sourcing project. You have to once again build up a new sourcing project. But if you use this option over here, supplier don't need to do this thing. So here you can say like 50%. That means if you have put 1 million as the target price, what will happen? That means the lowest bid which can be given is 5 lakh or 500,000 USD. If you give by mistake 90,000 or 50,000 or 60,000 USD, what will happen? Ariba will immediately show up an error saying that your quotation cannot be lower than the bid Gaussian percentage. That means what you are doing, if supplier is trying to make a mistake, you are stopping the supplier from doing the mistake over here. So that is why this part is very important. And remember, somewhere between 40 to 60% we will put depending upon the project, but always consult with your customer. Because if you don't consult, what will happen is like, their policies might be defined. Where to use 40%, where to use 50%, where to use 60%, this will be determined by the client, not us. So always remember, ask this information from the client. Okay. And then enable scoring on participant response. Always this will be yes, and don't click on delegated. This will, keep this thing as hidden. Okay. That's one of the important thing. And then there is another one, that is, can participants create alternative responses? What do you mean by alternative responses over here, guys? Can anybody, do anybody know about alternative responses? Okay, so I think I need to, understand this particular, make you all of you understand this thing. Okay, so basically alternative